met her in the fall. He took her to a movie, and when they done it all.
Hello and welcome to the Fabulous Picture Show. I'm Amanda Palmer. This week at the Everyman Cinema Club, we're joined by director Sarah Gavron and actor Tannishtha Chatterjee as we screen their beautiful but controversial film, Brick Lane.
If I was a bomber, do you think I'd be carrying 50 pairs of jeans on my back?
Based on the best-selling novel, Brick Lane is an absorbing mix of romance, religion and post-9/11 politics.
I should go.
Also on the show, the latest from the hugely admired director skilled at mixing fantasy with reality.
Sometimes fiction has a deeper truth than the banality of facts.
And we meet the man you call when you've made a film and you need to mix your sound.
We've got a bit of wind happening, not a lot yet.
But first, he's one of the all-time greats, but he hasn't directed a film for almost 10 years. Francis Ford Coppola is back with a new film that comes straight from the heart. Coppola's much-anticipated new film, Youth Without Youth, stars the great English character actor Tim Roth, best known for his films with Quentin Tarantino.
Everybody be cool, it's a robbery!
This time he plays an aging professor who's struck by lightning and finds his youth miraculously restored.
You are lucky.
Giving him a second chance to fulfill his life's ambition.
I want to help you.
A mysterious young woman proves the key to his work and to his heart.
We should go somewhere, we should be alone.
She's played by Alexandra Maria Lara, memorable as Hitler's secretary in Downfall. I don't know whether you're willing to tell me this, but when I read that Francis wrote you a letter with the script, what did he say in the letter?
That he enjoyed very much seeing a movie called Downfall, and that he thinks that my performance in it was very good, which is incredible to hear that from Francis Ford Coppola, of course, and that he would love me to read his script, and when I finished reading the script, he would love me to give him a phone call.
If he were to ask me to marry him, I would say yes.
Coppola offered Alexandra not just one part, but 3.
He asked me what my opinion is about an actress playing all 3 parts. So I said, yes, I think that's a fantastic idea.
I began to realize that with any text I had before me, if I wanted to know the content, I simply knew it.
What do you think this film is about?
For me, I'd say it's about an old man getting a second shot at life. That's really what I think, but I don't know if that's right.
This is no longer a case of a living dead man, but of something else.
Coppola's amazing body of work includes Godfather 1 and 2, and the critically acclaimed but financially disabling Apocalypse Now. He followed the budgetary brinkmanship of Apocalypse with One from the Heart, an experimental musical whose $2 million budget ballooned to $25 million, most of which came from Coppola himself.
Fanny and I busted up.
This time it's for good, Maggie. I swear it.
When the film flopped, the threat of bankruptcy forced the great director to accept a series of fast paychecks. So you had to become, as many have called it, a gun for hire.
Well, during the period that I owed that big debt, I made a movie every year, doing something like making films, which you should do out of love. It makes you, if I may be so rude as to say, it's like being a prostitute.
You have become the most valuable human specimen on the face of the earth.
25 years after the disaster of One from the Heart, Youth Without Youth is Coppola's return to self-funded filmmaking. You've often done this. Your conviction for filmmaking has often seen you put everything on the line.
I had always regretted that my success with The Godfather sort of seemed to divert me to a different direction, more to be a more big Hollywood type director, and I always wanted to be a more European auteur, who wrote, who chose subject matter that he, just because he was interested in it.
February the 20th, 1942. I must face the undeniable and chilling truth that I am a mutant.
Just like his Tim Roth character, at 67 years old, Coppola is making a fresh start, moving towards the career he's always desired. Part of the character of Dominic is he's looking for a legacy, but one would have thought that you had your legacy in place a very long time ago.
There's a certain kind of film that I've always wanted to make that I don't seem to have been able to make.
Give me a sense of what is it that you're looking for? What is that one element that it's got to have?
It's a kind of passionate, poetic drama, poetically beautiful, possibly tragic, that you just can't avoid being moved by. You know, I would like to do that before I'm finished making films, and I haven't quite done it yet.
There was no other way. That's why you'll always be a failure.
No.
Just Francis, about Francis. Sort of just about Francis. It's about how he's feeling.
It's about failure, it's about fate, it's about time, it's about consciousness, it's about love. It's about a lot of things, yeah.
Do you think it's about Francis at all?
Maybe it is also a little bit about Francis, yeah.
When you talk about the ultimate gonzo film director, the guy who will eat his own foot to get the shot he absolutely must have, you're talking about the legendary German director Werner Herzog.
All these dreams are yours as well. And the only distinction between me and you is that I can articulate them. And we have to articulate ourselves, otherwise we would be cows in a field.
For over 40 years, Werner Herzog has been literally going to the ends of the earth in pursuit of his dreams.
Give it a go!
In his masterpiece, FITZCARRALDO, the late, great Klaus Kinski
Try it again!
plays a man determined against all odds to haul a huge boat over a remote jungle mountain. No film fakery here.
Give it a go!
That's a 320-ton boat and a 40-degree incline. It was a monumentally grueling production. And some accuse the director of intentionally courting disaster.
I knew I would run into difficulties. A ship hundreds of tons heavy does not fly by itself over a mountain. Not that I have seeked it out for a special personal experience or a thrill or adventure. I'm a storyteller, and the magnitude of the story made it necessary to go to a real jungle and to move a ship over a mountain.
His latest film is about a kindred spirit, Dieter Dengler. Played by the current Batman, Christian Bale, Dengler was an American bomber pilot shot down over Laos in the early days of the Vietnam War. Thrown into a POW camp, he's left to slowly starve to death.
You can run in here if you like, but I'm gonna scram. Scram. I like that.
He hatches a bold and seemingly impossible plan to escape through miles of impenetrable jungle.
I'm your true friend. I will not lie to you. I will never let you down.
Despite its jungle setting and a cast that starved itself skeletal, the Rescue Dawn production was for Herzog a piece of cake.
Please be real! Here we are!
Rescue Dawn was an easy film. Contrary, for example, to FITZCARRALDO, where we were deep, far out in the jungle. We were always fairly close to the next hotel. Yes, it was physically very hard for the actors and for me and also for the camera and many others. But so what, that's fine. It's a hardship to run 10 miles cross-country and it's nothing special.
Herzog first told Dieter's story in a 1997 documentary.
Below the house, I have an emergency provision that I put in there years ago.
It showed how Dieter's confinement and starvation have coloured his subsequent life.
I probably never need any of this food, but I can sleep so much better knowing that it's down there.
But the film was not strictly a documentary.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. Most people don't realize how important it is and the privilege that we have to be able to open or close the door.
It was a combination of fiction and fact that attempts to evoke what Herzog calls an ecstatic truth.
Some of the things like opening or closing doors, he does not do that in real life, but in film life he does it. I walked into his house, and the first thing you enter, there's 7 or 8 oil paintings of open doors. And I said to Dieter, You have all this oil painting about open doors. He said, open doors, and took a look. Indeed, there were open doors. It didn't even dawn on him. Something very, very deep inside of him, opening and closing doors. So for the sake of the film, in his film identity, he opens and closes doors. It occurs very early in the film, 2-3 minutes into the film, you see him doing that. From that moment on, every single audience is with this man. You immediately like him and you never leave his side.
And all of a sudden, one of the guards came across the circle, walked towards me. He had his rifle in his hand, the butt first, and he came towards me. He hesitated a couple of times. He swung towards me. I moved my head. He hit me in the shoulder, knocked me down on my back.
With so many filmmakers desperately recycling their few good ideas, it can be difficult to distinguish a director of genuine vision and passion. Werner Herzog is just such a man.
Very few times in my life I have come across a story where I knew this is big, and this has to be made for, it begs for the big screen. That was it, I had to do it.
In part 2, we're screening Brick Lane, which is a real place. We've got the filmmaker and the leading lady here. I'm going to start with you, Sarah, the director. This is a place here in London.
It is. Brick Lane is a street in East London, and this story is based on Monica Ali's well-acclaimed and loved novel, which sold really widely across the UK and the world, in fact.
Now, Tannishtha, you play the leading lady in this. She's Bangladeshi and she moves to East London.
The book was like a big reference for me to do my research on Nazneen, and then of course I met a lot of women who are from the Bangladeshi community in and around Brick Lane.
She's a very complex part. She's a very internalised character, but we're going to see more of that in part 2.
He met her in the